Hi, my name's Lisa Soland, and I have a program on the internet entitled The Writer's Desk. As you know, because of what's going on in the world today, I lost my roll-top desk to my husband, who has now taken over my office out of necessity, no longer working at his workplace, but working out of the home. So I am now operating in another room in the house. But it is still the Writer's Desk, and we're really glad to have you here participating in one of Climbing Angel Publishing's new publications that is coming very close to being released. I'm sitting here today with my friend and my assistant on the current project, Tonya Hobbs. How you doing today?
Good morning.
We're not quite 6 feet away from each other, but I'd say we're at least 4 feet, and we don't touch. We're very careful when we exchange the letters, which we'll be talking about today. The project on the plate, and certainly on the front burner of the stove as a publisher, I'm senior editor of Climbing Angel Publishing, is a project that has the working title Art Bushing, his diary, letters, and photographs of World War II. And I just thought it would be really fun to sit with Tonya because she has been working as my assistant on the project, and we've been having a lot of fun, haven't we?
Oh my goodness, it's been amazing.
The first question I want to ask you, which I think is the most interesting question, don't you think it's uncanny that the letters that we're reading, and these were exchanged primarily between Art Bushing, who served in World War II in the Army, and his wife, Dottie Bushing. At the beginning, they're not married yet, so the letters include their journey getting married, her traveling from Knoxville, Tennessee to California, getting married there, and him at Camp Roberts, and then studying at Stanford to learn the Dutch language so that he could support the upper leadership in World War II. He actually served in the Europe side, not the Pacific, which was definitely to his benefit. Mm-hmm. Pacific was not the place, not the priority place to be. But the thing that I have found most interesting, and I want you to talk about it, is don't you think it's interesting what we're going through today as a nation and a world with this coronavirus pandemic, and comparatively to the letters that we're reading having to do with World War II?
It's really been an interesting situation. You feel like when you're holding the letters in your hand and you're typing them, you have pages of history that are coming to life almost simultaneously with what we're dealing with. And you can't really relate so much, at least in the beginning, back in February when I started, couldn't really relate so much to not being able to pick up the phone and call somebody. Whereas back in the day, she wrote the letters to him and had to wait days, and if she might have not even heard from him for weeks. And so having that dynamic of being isolated and not being able to be in touch with each other is very relatable to today's time.
Absolutely. And I have found the letters to be absolutely fascinating because back then, as Tonya was saying, they had to put everything that they wanted to communicate into these letters. Let me just show you. This is a V-mail. That was one of the things that they did. They exchanged V-mails, and then this is an example of one of the letters. I mean, look at that. Isn't that fun? Look at the price of the stamp. Ah. Wow, 6 cents. And this one's dated August 3rd, 1945. But one of the great things you've been doing is helping me to type these letters, and then we're editing them and putting them into the book. The book is, it was going to be originally Art Bushing's journal, which encompassed 1945 and 46, primarily when he left the shores of New York to travel to Europe, landing in Le Havre, France, and starting to fight then. But we fell in love with the letters. I'm the first to blame. I started the project in the second week of April when I met Dottie in 2018. someone, a very good friend, had arranged the meeting. Dottie Bushing's deceased husband, Art Bushing, was the son of Alvin York's secretary, who was also named Art Bushing or Art Bushing Sr. So this letter exchange also will include photographs and Art Bushing's diaries from 1942, 43, 44, 45, 46. Mm-hmm. So what started out to be a relatively simple project, because the family and I got along so well, they kept gifting me with all of this, all these additional things, and the house became full with, these people will just, Dottie and Art, they made up their mind they were going to try to write each other every day.
Well, it's incredible that they've held on to this for so many years. It's 70 plus years that this has been sitting somewhere in a box, I guess.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
And you can read them. Mm-hmm. We've needed to purchase like magnifying glasses for some of the words, but I'd say maybe one word a letter is kind of hard to read, but it's also fascinating. Didn't you find that as you're like looking through the letters that you begin to actually be able to read them better? It's like transcript or something.
Yes. My kids would walk by and see me typing and they're like, how do you read that? I said, I'm just used to his handwriting by now, so you just become familiar with it.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And how do you feel about them as people?
Wow. I feel like I know them. I wish that I could have met Art. He is incredible. He's so eloquent in his speech, doting as a husband, future husband, but very intelligent, and truthfully, he has brought history to life for me, because I was pretty much oblivious to all of this back when I was in school. But everything that he's saying, like when he's in Paris, I'm having to Google, thank the Lord for Google, right? Having to Google these names of places that I have no idea what he's talking about. And then I get, so exposed to culture, exposed to more of history. It's just fantastic.
And Art and Dottie were lovers of the arts.
Mm-hmm.
Funny his name would be named Art. I didn't think of that before, but they love the arts. So when he's over in Europe and they're not bringing those men back after World War II ended, they have to stay over there for a while. So what does he do? He goes to the opera, he goes to the ballet, he goes to the theater, and he goes to the museums, and and he writes all about it in these letters. So we're matching the photographs that have been scanned and doctored a little bit so that you can see them clearer. We're matching the photographs with the journal, with the diary, with the letters, and it's going to be quite a collection. We're going to talk more about it with you in part 2. Thanks for joining us.